Live from level 5. It rhymes. It's the Geek Show.
Okay. I thought there was something to that.
No.
Oh, okay.
Dante's Inferno.
Sure.
Oh, nice callback.
Which
Circle of Hell.
Which kingdom is that? The Telestial? Which one is that?
Third one, I think.
Start the show. All right. Hi.
Hello.
Okay, so the fifth circle of hell is Wrath.
Wrath.
Or Roth, if you're fancy.
Or
Rolf.
Tim Roth.
Oh,
David Lee Roth.
see, that explains a lot. I have a Wrath IRA, and I don't.
Yeah.
It's just always angry. All the time.
I'm not getting
It's
any
a secret.
interest. I have no interest. I'm just angry all the time. So it's,
Punishes the souls who give in to their anger.
yes,
So everyone just be cool.
she is
I haven't
cool.
read that in a
She's,
very long time.
she's Rebecca Frost. Everybody.
Hey, everybody. Sorry I was gone last week. I was busy voting on movies.
Fun.
You could tell us about it coming up.
Okay.
Well, Rob is here. Hello.
I am. Hello.
He's the official whiskey ambassador to Geek Show.
Wow.
Oh, I got a new title. Jim, I got to change that. Whiskey Ambassador. Sweet.
Pickle. Yeah.
You don't have a title, do you, Tony?
No. Just been here for 12 years doing nothing.
The tech man.
You're going to do that for 30 more years and you get your pension.
Yep. Quad T, Too Tall Tony, on his way to his pension.
That's right. Someday.
It's a Geek Show pension.
And here he is, EOS webcam utility.
Yay!
Lee George Cade, everybody.
Resistance is futile. The tech billionaire shall rule everything.
Well, that's how we solve all the world's problems, is we just keep giving money to the billionaires. That's the key.
Privatize it.
Right.
Privatize it.
It'll trickle down.
Yeah.
We're gonna get it someday.
In order to trickle down, it's got to trickle up first.
Yep.
Yep. All right.
No, but our host.
Oh,
Mr. Kerry Jackson.
hi. Monday through Friday, 6 to 10, x96.com. I was very... Yes? Oh, thank you. I was very happy today. This week I was happy because they finally released, although we've all seen it, the Daredevil trailer. But we got to see it with good sound and with a good picture and not on somebody's phone, you know.
Oh, see, I held off. I didn't know it got... Actually, I didn't hold off. I didn't know it got released.
It's
No.
So this was the first time I saw it. It was slick.
They changed it a little.
crunchy.
Yeah, they changed it a little bit
Gee.
for
There's some
release.
bone crunching, that's for sure.
There's a lot happening in this trailer, and it's funny because I was talking about this on the radio show. I didn't realize that Daredevil is my favorite Marvel character till about 6 or 7 years ago, and it wasn't the TV show that did it. It was people asking me, "Hey, I'm thinking about getting back into comics. Where should I begin?" And my answer was always, go to the comic book store and figure it out. But I've always been satisfied with every issue of Daredevil I've ever read, was the answer. And then I realized at that point, I went, I think that Daredevil's my favorite character. I came to that realization.
So do you have a favorite writer for Daredevil?
Boy, it just seems like everybody that they put on it does a great job.
Oh,
You
I
know?
like everybody evenly. Blah, blah, blah.
Dang, Tony.
It's funny because Marvel will give the title writers who just you wouldn't even think of, and they come in and they just knock it out of the park each and every time. It's like a writer who they all want to write Daredevil or something, and they all have an idea. But this was a great trailer. Of course, we get the reunion of Wilson Fisk and Matt Murdock.
That was the most awkward cafe scene of any show that I have ever seen.
I will admit, it's not entirely unpleasant seeing you again.
Now kiss.
Well, the funny thing is,
Shot in the eye.
Yeah. No,
He's rich.
it was next to it. No. So at the end of Hawkeye, he got shot, I think, next to his ear, right?
Oh.
In order to like deafen him.
And
Yes.
then in Echo, because he comes back for Echo,
Yeah.
he gets kind of mellowed out a little bit because
Right.
this girl is like his daughter, kind of a thing. And
She didn't shoot him in the eye, too?
no, but she kicked
she
his
shot him in the
ass.
face.
Yeah, she shot him in the face, right? That's what I thought.
I thought he was. Now, see, I got to go back and
Did
watch Echo,
Echo shoot
again. Thank you.
Kingpin?
In the face.
And then, of course, Matt says to Kingpin the most base thing that you can say to a rich person these days: I can't shake the feeling that you're gaming the system.
TV shows are too woke these days. Disney
I
Plus is
know,
too
right?
woke these days.
Too woke, right?
It was really fun, though, really quick. There was a commentator online who was watching this episode, or was watching this trailer, made the comment that, they're sitting there looking very, to the outside person, just very casual, just like two guys having lunch, when inside their inner monologues are both like, I'm going to fuck you up.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so yeah, he was shot in the face.
By Echo, right?
Into eye, yeah.
The synopsis I have is that last we saw Fisk, he'd been partially healed of his childhood trauma by his adoptive daughter, Echo. And of course, his childhood trauma is he killed his father with a hammer.
That's pretty traumatizing.
Yep.
Dang, we're all really showing our asses here that we did not watch Echo.
No, I did.
No,
That's
I
why
did.
was- That's why I was like, I'm
Tony
pretty
and I
sure he got
watched
shot
it.
in the face.
High five, Tony.
Yeah, okay, I'm speaking for the rest of us.
I watched it
watched
because Echo's a
watched the hell
Daredevil.
out of Echo.
Yeah, Daredevil's she's a Daredevil character, so I had to watch. But enjoyed it. But anyway, in this one. He is looking to run for mayor of New York.
Better than Eric Adams, am I right, everybody? Up top.
Exactly. There is a shots of another comic book character in there called Muse, another vigilante, White Tiger.
Yeah, White Tiger.
Oh, that's
And,
who that was. Okay.
Yeah, that's played by Camar de los Reyes. And, of course, we get Punisher and Bullseye back.
Yeah. I'm most looking forward to Bullseye, I think.
Colin Farrell?
No, different Bullseye.
No.
Oh.
Sorry.
Get out.
Colin Farrell plays a
Dang
better
it.
bad guy in DC now as the Penguin.
He
Yeah.
was a good Bullseye.
He was a good Bullseye.
Thank you, Lee.
With what he
My
was
one
doing,
true
he
friend.
did fine. Yeah.
I like when Woody.
He was a
rode
good
him
bullseye
around.
in a bad movie.
Bad movie.
Boy, if you could see me
Speak-
shaking my fist at you, Rob.
Speak for yourself.
And that's different from what, really?
Daredevil, it's called Daredevil Born Again. I don't think they're going to be following the Frank Miller Born Again storyline.
Oh, I thought it was a Born Identity spinoff.
No, nope, sorry.
He doesn't know who he is.
Here comes Black Tread or
Shaky
Treadmill.
Cam.
What are they called?
Treadstone.
Treadstone.
Treadstone. Let's see. Daredevil Born Again release on March 4th on Disney Plus. And boy, the trailer, as you're watching it, you're like, this is not a Disney kind of a thing. It's extremely violent.
I mean, I don't know. We thought that about Moon Knight, too.
It's true. That's
And
true.
Echo,
Yeah.
Echo was pretty
for
violent.
those of us who
too.
watched it.
But the scene when he busts the dude's arm
Oh,
and you see the blood start to seep through the guy's shirt sleeve where the arm was broken.
and the bone. You can see the bone sticking
Yeah.
out through the skin. It's just, it's such a brief shot, but
Nasty.
Rookie.
Walt is rolling in his grave.
Because the best Daredevil movie ever made was called The Raid Redemption.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, sure, Daredevil wasn't in it, but
I thought you were going to say.
Nor was the protagonist blind.
I thought you were going to say Blind Fury with.
John
Rutger
Wick
Hauer.
4.
Blind Fury with Rutger Hauer. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We just
That was a
went
good
and we went and pretended it was a Daredevil movie.
Well, yeah. It was,
All right.
wasn't it?
Sure it was. Anyway, so watch the Daredevil trailer when you get a chance. We'd show it to you here, but for some reason we get kicked off YouTube every time.
And really quick, a little further up the comments, Carl Clark asked, "Who is White Tiger?" He's another Marvel vigilante in New York, because that's apparently where all the vigilantes live in the Marvel universe. Excuse me. His name is Hector Ayala, and he gets his powers like enhanced strength, agility, etc., from the tiger. I think they call it the
Amulet.
tiger totem or something,
Yeah.
or tiger amulet. Not unlike the way that Vixen gets her powers from the tattoo totem in DC, but his are just focused in the tiger.
And hasn't White Tiger been a couple of different people?
Yes, so
over
it's
the-
been
over
him.
the
Then it was
years?
also his niece.
Yeah.
Shoot, I can't remember her name, but after Victor could no longer be, I think that Victor may have been killed, but after he couldn't be White Tiger for whatever reason anymore, his niece took up the mantle.
Angela Del Toro.
Yes, thank you.
All right, so eagerly anticipating Daredevil when it comes back in March. All right, listen, our Patreon is wide open. I made 2 videos this week, and you'll be getting those very soon, Tony.
Okay, I was gonna say. I didn't see
And you
it.
can post those on the Patreon. One is a before I tear the Christmas tree down video, and then the other one is physical media and why it's important. So that's coming up.
And I want to talk about that during the after party because boy, do I have some physical media not recommendations, but needs. And
Needs?
I want to
Okay.
throw myself at the mercy of the panel and our after party viewers on
Cool.
some recommendations.
So it's geekshowgotthiscovered.com is the place where you can go to get our Patreon, support the show that way. It's very easy to do. You get the after party, which we do after this show. We just keep going. And you're going to be getting some videos from me, and someday the Space Show will return.
No, it won't. But Geek Show podcast variant where we talk about a sci-fi program. That'll
Are we gonna
come
make
back.
that an acronym? GPTP.
You get Geek Show tabletop a day early because that actually happened.
Yes, I was very excited to see that.
We even recorded episode 2 the other night with special guest Lang talking about Gundams.
Nice.
Oh, Lang showed up. Good.
Yeah. Oh, that guy knows his way around a Gundam.
Indeed, he does. Indeed.
Yes, he
We got all
does.
that for you at geekshowgotthiscovered.com. Also, our merch store, geekshow.store. You can buy our stuff and wear our corporate logo out in the wild.
Yeah, make sure to go to our merch store and not our Merc store because we're really terrible at that.
Completely different. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, geekshow.store. All right, let's continue. Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. We've got Supergirl's parents have been cast.
Okay. This guy looks really happy to be there.
He does look thrilled.
He
doesn't
does.
David Krumholtz and Emily Beecham have been added. Krumholtz, we saw him in Oppenheimer,
And the Santa Claus.
and that's him. Oh,
That's
Yeah.
him?
Yeah.
Okay, wait a minute.
Wow.
That's why he's so happy, because he's getting a job.
This man's been working. What are you talking about?
yes.
Has he?
Oh, yeah, right here, the Santa Claus movies. Later, he was
David
on 6
Krumholtz.
seasons of the crime drama on CBS Numbers.
I was gonna say he's
okay.
Mr. Numbers,
I didn't watch that show, but okay.
and
also-
he's the guy in Serenity. Come
Yes.
on.
The guy.
Serenity, the movie that 19 people saw that were Firefly fans.
Yeah, okay, Tony. Try to shit talk Firefly fans. I dare you.
Yeah,
There for you.
I double
There
dog
were,
dare you.
I
there
don't
were
wanna do
20.
that.
There
I'm
were
a fan, too.
26 fellow brown coats in my theater showing.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Freaks and geeks. Come on.
Yeah. Beecham, best known for, the series 1899, and appeared in the Guy Ritchie movie The Covenant with Jake Gyllenhaal. And she is also in a William Tell movie that is coming out this month. New to me. I don't know. But that's Supergirl's parents.
Can you make a whole movie about William Tell? I mean, hey,
I know, right?
shoot the arrow, shoot the apple off the kid's head. Okay, ding, end credits.
Well, we can spend 10 minutes on the overture itself, but
You too short.
True. Well played.
thank you. More casting. Faran Tahir.
Yes.
Now, you recognize him.
Yes.
He is going to reprise his role from he was Raza, the leader of the terrorist organization the Ten Rings in the first Iron Man movie.
Yeah.
One could say the very first MCU villain.
You could say that, yes. Well, he's
I
going
thought that
to.
was Tony Stark.
No, it was Deacon Frost.
Yeah, technically. All right,
Blade.
technically. Thank you.
No, come on, you guys.
MCU. All right. But he is going to reprise his role in the new Vision Quest series on Disney Plus.
Why?
So is
know.
it going to have actually something to do with the actual 10 Rings this time? Or
Could be. Could
that
be.
would be cool.
Let's
Rebecca,
see.
I don't mean to make you have an aneurysm. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
We don't know much about
use one.
The Vision series. We don't know much about it at all. But there you go. He'll be back for that. And that jerk Terry Metalis is going to be serving as showrunner on the series. I know.
Man, I
right?
sure like 12 Monkeys. Oh
12
man, that
Monkeys
was a
is
good TV show.
All right, let's see. What else we got here? Oh, yes. Alien Romulus Now, I know a lot of you did not see it in theaters.
No.
Barf.
And you should have.
And you should have.
No.
I did not. But here's a reason to go back and watch it, Lee.
No.
It's on your Disney Plus, and there's something naughty about watching it on Disney Plus. I don't know why.
Yeah, like watching Saw on Disney Plus.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, my.
Rocky Horror. Now, here's some spoilers because you didn't see it in the theaters. In the film, the crew encounters an android named Rook, who is aboard the Romulus. He has an allegiance to the evil corporation Weyland-Yutani. Rook looks exactly like Ash, who was played by Ian Holm in the original Alien.
You know, Bilbo Baggins.
Yeah, he's the same make and model as Ash, but
Why
of
shouldn't
course,
I keep this ring?
Ian Holm passed away 5 years ago. But with the permission of his widow, the director, Fede Alvarez, and his team recreated Holmes' likeness with a combination of practical effects, visual effects, and on-set acting. But when I saw it, it didn't look good, honestly. Well, Alvarez knew that. He said, we ran out of time in post-production to get it right. I wasn't 100% happy with the shots. They were, they were a little rushed. So he said, we've gone back and we fixed it now.
Cool.
So
Okay.
Is this the Alvarez cut?
this is the Alvarez cut. We made it better for the release right now. I convinced the studio we needed to spend a little money, make sure to give the companies that were involved in making the proper time to finish and do it right. It says it's so much better. And there is a side-by-side online, you can look at it and you can see that the new effect on the home release, they lean more into the physical side of the creation instead of digital, which I was quite pleased with.
Speaking of Alien Romulus, at the Utah Film Critics Awards, Film Critics Association Awards, David Johnson, who played, oh my gosh, I can't even remember his name in the movie. He won the Vice Martin Award for a performance in a horror fantasy sci-fi movie.
Excellent.
Was he Andy?
Andy, yeah.
Let's see. Animatronic puppeteer Shane McMahon actually did an animatronic of Ian Holm based on the head cast from Lord of the Rings.
Whoa.
And that's the only one in existence, apparently. And we did that for the home release. We reverted a lot more to the puppet. So it's way better. So now you can see it. Why don't you get it on VHS and watch it at home?
Yeah.
I will watch Romulus, but what I have to do is I have to rip it. I have to re-edit it, take all the body horror elements out of it, and then do enough damage to my brain that I don't remember that I saw the body horror stuff, and then I can watch the clean version that won't.
Oh, it's not
traumatize me.
that. As a mid-sentence, I
Come
was
on
remembering
now.
I was remembering the ending.
Yeah.
However,
This movie rocks.
if you watch it on VHS, the resolution will be so poor that you won't be able to see the body horror anyway. So
There you go, Lee.
Oh,
it's fine.
I used to love body horror. It just doesn't work for me anymore.
Oh man,
So
so you're never gonna see the substance.
I don't know. I can't even handle. I can't even handle the image. I think over time it'll pass. I just
icky.
I am walking body horror right now, so I can't handle it. So
Sure.
eventually, I mean, like nobody's lining up to watch me for 2 hours. I'll give you a body horror experience.
Little does he know
I have
I'm
a
outside
question.
of his window
Yeah, you
every
don't know our
morning
fans.
at 2 a.m.
I have a question then, Rebecca.
Yeah.
Did you see Better Man?
A whole better man or a different man?
The Robbie Williams movie.
Oh yes, and I am that movie's number one cheerleader.
Quick question.
Yeah.
Related to that. It is related to that. So they do a video for Rock DJ in that, correct?
Yeah, and they released the whole sequence now.
Okay. Now, have you seen the original video for that?
Yeah, where Robbie Williams takes his skin off.
Does that qualify as body horror?
Totally.
Okay.
I think so. They don't do that. Actually, Better Man does have an element of that, actually.
Okay.
All right.
Oh my God, Better Man rules. I know we're Americans and Robbie Williams is none of our business, but
you were one of a dozen Americans who saw that movie.
but it's so good, you guys.
Less than Serenity.
But a different man starring Sebastian Stan and Adam Pearson also does have a small element of body horror in it.
Yes. And that's available now on, I want to say, Max.
Because all A24 movies go directly to Max.
I added that to my watch list last night. Looked really cool.
It's good. It's good.
Nice.
Let's see. This was interesting. The bane of many comic book store owners' existence. Diamond,
Not just comics.
not just
Oh
comics.
boy. Yeah.
Diamond Comics Publishers, the comics distribution company that for decades has just had this monopoly of shipping comic books from, the industry's biggest publishers across the Western world, it says here, announced to retailers that it has filed for bankruptcy and is preparing to sell off several parts of its distribution arms across the world in an attempt to secure financial stability.
So possibly this is the breakup of a monopoly,
It's yeah.
or a little bit.
But it's
of
also
that?
been in progress for a while because DC went to a different distributor called Luna.
Yes.
Marvel, I think, jumped to another, did a soft jump to another one, and some of the independents have done that as well.
Oh, okay.
But Diamond being the one that's been there for decades, with kind of a stranglehold on distribution, not just for comics, but also what was their game
it's
company?
so much bigger than that. It's right there, right above the dot on the I. Alliance Game Distributors is
That's the
parent-
one.
They're the parent company, and they're the ones that are actually going bankrupt. And because of this, if you're not Games Workshop or Wizards of the Coast, you don't have a distributor once this happens, because the company that bought Alliance is Canadian, and if Ding Dong's tariffs go through,
Oh my God, we're not gonna get any comics or games.
yeah, nope.
Let's see. This comes several years after the whole COVID-19 pandemic. The distributor shut down shipping of new comics to stores early on in the lockdown in 2020. Brought an end to a sale of physical comics due to its distribution deals and the majority of publishers in the industry. But that shutdown led to multiple publishers breaking off from Diamond. Like you were saying, DC became the first major publisher to cut ties. Marvel would follow. By 2024, Image, IDW, and other publishers had followed suit along the exclusive distribution through Diamond.
Who have they got left then?
Well, they still have stakes in, I know that they still have some Marvel distribution. I think that some of the independents left some of their titles there just for volume.
Oh.
But for the most part, a lot of them are just kind of like sinking ship, huh?
Yeah.
Maybe we should not just have all of our eggs in one basket.
Diamond confirmed that it intends to sell its UK distribution arm, Diamond UK, as well as its tabletop game distribution subdivision, Alliance Games, to Universal Distribution, while also citing potential sales interests in multiple other branches of the company, including the grading service, Collectible Grading Authority, as well as Diamond's merch arm, Diamond Select Toys, which had some great toys whenever I bought a Diamond Select stuff. But I know a lot of our local shops. I mean, like Greg at Black Cat, I was talking with him, and he said that he's been planning for this for a while now. He's sort of read the tea leaves and realized this was
Greg's been
gonna
talking
happen.
about this for years.
And same thing with the Nerd Store and Dr. Volts. They're kind of like, oh, you could see it coming, but now that it's here, we're rolling with it as best they can. But
Yeah.
I know that's messed up distribution. Like they've missed over the past 2.5, 3 months, probably a good 8 weeks of delays with some of their stuff. Mm-hmm. Like, you go in on a Wednesday to find stuff, and it's like, it'll be here Friday or Saturday.
And my
Yeah.
friend,
Thanks,
my
Diamond.
friend Jeff, who owns a game store in Central Oregon, was basically saying that they're not ideal, but they're really the only game if you're not one of the big titles for games.
Exactly.
If you're an indie game company and you do any physical distribution, a lot of people are doing it online now. They're just doing PDFs and downloads and STLs for miniatures. But
Right.
for people who still want to put out physical stuff, and there's quite a few of them, especially when you're talking about like your mid-tier games, that's the only way to get them is through Alliance or Diamond. And if they go down, then that's going to cause a lot of problems. Won't be a big deal for the industry leaders. They're already making all the money and they already own their own distribution networks.
Yeah.
So
Now, keep in mind, this is just for bankruptcy protection that they're doing this. But
yep.
I mean, if you look down the road,
But they're
Probably a
selling
good
off
idea.
assets in the process.
probably a good idea to, if you're a comic book store owner, it's time to start. Well, you should have started looking for different ways to get your comics.
This seems like a good time to buy on the dip, Carrie.
That's true. Maybe someone like Marvel could step in and just buy it, you know?
Do you know who else filed for bankruptcy?
Me.
Joanne.
Yeah.
For the craft store.
The fabric store?
Second time in a year, though. They originally filed for bankruptcy in March of 2024. Joanne, what about all the money I gave you?
Oh.
Where's all that money?
It wasn't quite enough.
They're in a really weird place. Like I was reading about how Barnes and Noble reorganized by giving their actual individual branch managers carte blanche over what they sell in their individual stores. So instead of having like a regional sales manager that says this is what all the stores are carrying, they can be like the New Murray store says, oh, we have a lot of manga readers, but we don't have a lot of graphic novel readers. So their manga section's huge, their graphic novel section's fairly small. And it's just based off of what the trends they're seeing in that store. And that's great.
Interesting.
But you go into like a Joann, my kid goes into Joann all the time to pick up craft supplies, but it's like you can't be that. You can't cast that wide of a net and expect to stay in business because it's like, oh, do you want do you want thermofoil beads that you can melt onto some fabric? Well, you go to Joann. They're the only ones that are going to carry it. But because of that, that's taking up real estate. Like Joann, if you're a fabric shop, you could be a quarter the size. If you're an art supply store, you could be a quarter the size. But you know, Amazon's killing all that stuff anyway. So,
which is why I don't participate in Amazon.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's see. This I found interesting because I was listening to an interview with Dan Slott recently, and you know, he has been at Marvel for close to 15 years, writing mostly Spider-Man. I mean, he wrote some of the best Spider-Man stories that we've seen in a while. I mean, you know.
He did the Spider Island stuff, didn't he?
He did that.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's
An
been
Island
there
of
for longer than
Spiders.
15, hasn't he? Because didn't he do all of like the original 9/11 stuff? No, that was Straczynski. Sorry.
I
no,
swear,
you're
like
right.
every
Dan
time
Slott
I go,
did 9/11.
No.
No. Every
it was
time I'd
Bert.
go to read a Spider-Man comic, it'd be like Dan Slott. Like, oh, he's still writing Spider-Man, huh? All right.
He wrote for Fantastic Four, Silver Surfer, She-Hulk, Avengers, Superior Spider-Man, which is a great story.
Oh, Superior Spider-Man, I think, is one of the
fantastic.
best Spider-Man stories ever
Man.
written.
And when it was out, every spider nerd was bitching about it, and I'm just like, no, stick around.
It's so good.
It was like 4 pages into the first issue. Parker's been holding back. It's
Yes.
just the best
Yeah.
line.
Yeah.
Great line. But he is moving over to DC.
All right.
He will make his
Open arms welcoming him.
his
Yes.
DC debut with Spider-Man Unlimited. Writing
Superman.
Superman.
Or, excuse me. See, I
I was
say
gonna
Dan
say,
Slott.
Dan
Spider-Man
Slott's
comes to
moving to
mind.
DC and he's taking Spider-Man with him.
Yeah,
It's quite the coup.
Superman Unlimited. Writing the monthly comic drawn by Raphael Albuquerque, the artist and co-creator of the American Vampire. Let's see. So yeah, this is going to be interesting. Superman Unlimited #1. Sorry, it's just Dan Slott at the top here, and my brain goes there.
I mean, it's red and blue. I can see how you can make that mistake.
Easy mistake.
Both
You
climb
just-
on walls. They both
you
shoot
read-
webs out of their butts.
Remember,
Lasers.
You heard it here first. Dan Slott's bringing Spider-Man to DC, kid.
Yeah, there you go. It will be available at your local comic book shop and online retailer May 21st.
Because it's from Luna, not Diamond.
Exactly. New
Gary,
ongoing series.
I'm just glad you're giving everybody a preview of what the show's going to sound like in 20 years, and your ass and my ass is demented as hell.
Exactly.
Sure, in the Dementia Show podcast this week, the Incredible Hulk's
20.
my aunt.
20 years.
I won't lie. I'm a little hungover. All right.
20
This week in
years.
DC, Stan Lee's writing Fantastic Four.
No, it'll be great.
Again. But it's all naked.
But I think the slot is actually a great choice for them for their Superman titles. I liked what Bendis did, but Bendis got hamstrung a lot by editorial.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
That happens.
totally.
I've
But
talked
the
to
thing
artists.
is-
I've talked to artists who have worked on Superman, and they say the same thing.
Yeah, and it's like you're playing in somebody else's sandbox, and you're playing in one of the top two's, top character sandboxes. You can only do so much, which is a lot of people are still upset that they aged up John Kent, son of Superman, to put him in the Legion, and then did nothing with the Legion after 10 issues. Just it fell off the face of the earth. And they're like, the dynamic that we used to see between John Kent and Damian Wayne was one of the brightest spots in DC for a while. And they still have a good relationship, but it's not quite the same. It's seeing two preteens running around causing mischief in their own way. The thing that I like about Slott coming into Superman is reading his Spider-Man stuff. He gets the, not just the superheroic side of things down pat, but he also gets the, day-to-day human stuff. And I think that they're doing a little more with Clark Kent in DC to kind of, round out that part of the character. So I'm looking forward to seeing how he doesn't necessarily make Clark Kent just like Peter Parker, but gives him his own foibles and his own things that are weighing him down, so to speak.
Here's how you know here's how you know it's in good hands. Here's what he said in a statement. He's the first and greatest superhero of all time, and I've been waiting my whole life to tell stories about him, not just because of all the amazing powers he has, but because of who he is inside. There's the key, right?
So it sounds like he's going to be doing Clark Kent is who I am, Superman is what I can do.
Yeah, I hope. It'll be interesting to see. I look forward to your reviews, Rob.
I look forward to reading it and presenting them.
Let's see. And then finally this, I don't know, I guess we need some of these things. Two beloved 80s movies being revived for the 2020s.
Crossover?
I wish. Let's see. A development on a third Gremlins movie and a possible Goonies reboot.
Gremlins the Next Generation.
Yeah.
Maybe the Gremlins will come and kill all the Goonies.
Yeah.
There's so much original content just dying, begging to be made.
But as we learn,
it.
As we learn, every time anybody puts out anything even remotely original, no one shows up.
No one shows up.
Or I can give you a personal analogy. When my wife and I were literally making custom dolls 15 years ago, we scraped by show after show after show. But once we started doing any IP stuff, people were like throwing money at us. Yeah, do Daredevil, do Deadpool. It's like, that's not even ours.
Yeah,
but people are dumb.
Well, I'm not going to argue that either.
And I'm not saying that to be mean to all the people that threw money at us. Thank you so much. We loved your money. But it's like there's not a lot of imagination out there, and people are very greatly challenged by anything new like Acolyte. It's like, oh, please give us something new, but don't you dare change anything about it. Make sure it's the same damn thing we've already seen 100 times.
Yeah.
Now you got it.
Rise of the Skywalker.
Yeah, exactly. Warner Brothers developing a new Gremlins movie with Christopher Columbus, and is also working on a Goonies treatment. That's all the details that we have.
Does it actually say Christopher Columbus and not Chris Columbus?
It says Christopher Columbus.
Interesting.
I look at Jim E. Johns gives us in comments Scavenger's Reign, an animated show that was on HBO.
Oh, yeah,
and
that was
I can't
good.
remember who had it prior to that. Phenomenal, original.
So, no, it was
old,
HBO
new.
original.
It's on Netflix
now.
now.
It went to Netflix.
Yeah, and both networks killed it because no one watched it.
And much to the chagrin of Rebecca Frost, the studio is looking at some of its biggest franchises: Lord of the Rings, Matrix, DC, Practical Magic.
Practical Magic, its biggest
What?
franchise of all.
all in the works. All in the works. to be rebooted.
I am as big of a Lord of the Rings fan as you're going to find. Let it go.
No, that's Disney. That's Disney.
Yeah.
All right.
I love the fact that I can't see you shaking your fist. This is great.
I know.
This is the best show ever.
He just looks happy with his mug of something.
He does.
That's my BYU coffee cup.
Ah, there you go.
What?
It's for you, Tony.
I can see that. All right. What did we consume this week? Who wants to go first?
I can talk about so many movies.
Let's go, Rebecca. Hit it.
Movie
First,
time
a
with
book.
Auntie Rebecca.
I finally read Demon Copperhead by Barbara Kingsolver, which is a modern retelling of David Copperfield. I was not aware. Great. Loved it. 5 out of 5. Love Barbara Kingsolver.
There you go.
I was not here last week because I was busy at the Utah Film Critics Association Awards voting, and here's just a rundown of what we awarded. Best Picture went to The Wild Robot, with the runner-up being The Substance.
I'm gonna watch The Wild Robot. I think it comes to Peacock next week or something like that.
Yeah,
Or did it already show up?
I think it might be already there.
Oh, okay, cool.
Anyway, just a movie designed to make you start crying and never stop crying for 90 minutes.
Exactly. That's why I've avoided it.
Yeah, but it's extremely good. We gave it Best Picture. Achievement in directing went to Brady Corbett for The Brutalist. The Brutalist is out now. I think I talked about it a couple of weeks ago. Runner-up, Dune 2, Denis Villeneuve.
Yeah.
Best lead performance went to Coleman Domingo in Sing Sing, which is also currently re-released by A24. A24 did this really cool thing where they not only re-released it theatrically nationwide, but also released it in prisons, so inmates can watch it as well. So, very, very meaningful movie about the power of theater and like the transformative power of theater and healing. Anyway, best lead performance for a female went to Demi Moore in The Substance, a movie that Lee will never see.
I'm scared.
I don't think I'll ever see it either, to be honest.
It sounds amazing. My kid's gonna watch it and tell me all about it, and I'll just cry.
Body horror. I'm with Lee on that. It's just like, ooh.
Yeah.
There's a lot of other categories. Like I mentioned earlier, the Vice Martin Award for sci-fi fantasy horror performance went to David Johnson for Alien Romulus. If you guys want to know about other winners, we can talk more about it in the after party, or you can ask me whatever you want.
Okay.
So movies that are released this week, Nickel Boys is a limited release.
Nickelback?
No. Nickel
Sorry, Tom.
Boys. It follows two black teenagers as they navigate the harrowing trials of a reform school in Florida in the early 60s.
Jeez.
So I read the book that this was based off of and then immediately watched the movie. And the movie is so freaking good, you guys. It utilizes this really unique first-person perspective filming style to tell the story. So it like really puts you in the shoes of these boys as you experience all of that they're going through in this reform school in the Jim Crow South era, right? Just beautiful, absolutely beautiful movie. Loved it. I highly recommend it. Also, movie that came out this week, Wolfman, directed by directed by Lee Wannell, who did Invisible Man in 2020 and Upgrade in 2018.
See,
How was it?
I had high hopes for this movie because I loved that Invisible Man movie so much.
Yeah,
Upgrade
it was
is
good.
awesome.
Upgrade was also really good. This movie blows.
That's what I
No.
hear. That's what I hear. Yeah.
Third
was-
time is not the charm.
It
Or a
was
charm, I should
the
say.
longest hour and 43 minutes of my entire life.
Bummer.
Every scene feels like an eternity. Every interaction feels stilted and awkward. This movie could have been an email.
Wow.
The-
I wonder how he missed
Okay.
the boat so hard after two great movies.
Yeah.
This-
what
I'm
happened?
so
This
sad.
movie,
Studio.
it sucks. Oh my God, it sucks. It does not help that this was one of the worst movie-going experiences I've had in a long time. There was a group of guys behind me who had a comment for everything, and
That's why I don't go to theaters anymore.
Yeah.
well, and this here's the thing. This was one of those like free like they won tickets from a radio show, I think.
Oh, those are the worst. Those are the worst guests.
That's why we stopped.
Your
That's why
fault,
we,
Gary.
Someone brought a baby. Someone
we
brought a
stopped doing
baby.
that.
Oh, really?
We stopped giving away movie passes for that reason. We stopped.
Yeah, someone brought a baby, and the baby remarkably well behaved. That baby is
Best thing
allowed to
about the
come
movie.
back. Christopher Abbott. I love Christopher Abbott, and I can tell he wants to be a weird little freak. I can just feel it in my bones that he wants movie roles where he gets to be just a weird, gross guy, and we need to let him do that more. This movie has of only a few redeeming qualities, and it has everything to do with the perspective from the Wolfman as he's like transforming into you. It shows his transition into his new senses, and those shots and those moments in the movie are extremely cool. Everything else is garbage. I do not recommend.
That's too bad.
Yeah,
How many
I'm
stars?
sorry.
How many stars?
I gave it 1 out of 5.
I heard somebody say that in that transformation sequence, there's a cool part where he can hear it sounds like drumming in the next room, and he looks up.
So that's one of the instances I'm talking about, because you hear in the movie what sounds like there's somebody upstairs. It sounds like somebody's like drumming or scraping and moving around upstairs. And I'm going to spoil it because I don't care because the movie's really bad. But he goes up and there's nothing, you don't see anything. And he opens a closet and it's a spider walking around on a wall. And his heightened hearing just makes it sound thunderously loud.
Oh, he's Daredevil. Got it.
Yeah. Extremely cool, but this movie sucked.
Wow.
God
Take
bless you,
that,
Rebecca.
wolf man.
Take that, Wolfman.
Whom nobody likes.
See you later in the year, Julia Garner, when you're the Silver Surfer.
She'll be shiny.
That's
have
right.
thought
I
the-
forgot about that.
Quickest
Yeah,
way
have
to
you
kill a
heard her
wolf-
comment about that? So what are you going to be like as a Silver Surfer? I'm going to be shiny.
That's awesome.
Well,
Come up
well,
with a
Lee,
better question,
I
dumbasses.
think that's.
what
Yeah, I
I'm
was gonna say. I think that's the perfect answer.
I was going to say, no one knew that you could add Rebecca Frost to the list of things that could kill a wolf man.
Yes.
So Silver Bullet, check. Rebecca Frost, check.
Beheading, fire. Those are the four mains.
The movie speaks for itself, I think. I don't know.
Yeah.
Would it make a
Anything
good
else?
drinking movie?
No, because you spend so long waiting for the next thing to happen that you would take a shot
You'd lose
and
your
then
buzz.
it would be like 30 minutes before you take your next shot.
Wow.
What
okay.
if it's drink every time you're bored?
Drunk before the movie is even halfway over.
All right.
Wow.
Anything else? Are you good?
That's everything. I'm gonna be gone the next two shows because I'm gonna be at Sundance.
Oh,
Ooh. So you come back with even more movies.
The last
for you.
Sundance in Utah, probably.
happy for you, but sad for us.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm hearing that it may be sticking around.
Utah should do everything it can to help it stick around. I mean,
Well, it's complicated because like there's no room for it to grow because a lot of it has to take place in Park City, and like this year. So last year they had showings at the Broadway, Rose Wagner, and the Gateway. This year they're only doing showings at the Broadway and Rose Wagner. Like they're really limiting the Salt Lake theaters that
That's
are
a mistake. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, hang on a
it's-
second. Why does it have to take place in Park? I mean, honestly, if it can leave Utah, why does it have to be in Park City?
It's part of like the contract. The contract does expire in 2026, so there's always the possibility that they could rework the contract and expand it, right? But the Sundance Film Festival, as it exists now, the majority of it has to take place in Park City.
Thank you.
sounds like they need to renegotiate.
I would also be really concerned, like Park City's proximity to Heber and the anti-California sentiment going on in that area right now is actually kind of scary. Like
Which-
as a Californian transplant, being in Heber is like, oh, geez, you really hate Californians.
And I don't understand the hatred toward Californians. I don't.
I understand what's going on from some friends of mine who live in the Heber area, that they've got a lot of very wealthy California folk moving to that area because the land is very cheap. And what I find hysterical is that a lot of them are actually members of the predominant theology in the area, but they're the California version. So obviously they're communists.
Obviously.
They're more liberal.
Yeah.
Well, you can't blame the Californians for buying land that's available. It's the people
Yeah.
who owned it originally that
Exactly.
you can't blame the
Otisburg.
Californians.
Kind of crazy how all
Otisburg.
land is stolen anyway. So like,
Otisburg.
Yeah.
What's wrong with Otisburg?
Let's.
Oh.
Who's next?
I'll go after
I'll go.
Rebecca because I got to follow up to Rebecca for something.
oh yeah, I'm done.
Cool. So, still reading We Learn Nothing by Tim Kreider.
Good and dense, huh?
It is so dense, but one of the things
I've
I'm
been called
enjoying
that.
is one of the reasons I'm enjoying it
He's
is
dense.
because Kreider lives in Maryland and he's writing about a lot of places in the Baltimore area that I'm familiar with. So I can actually get a place where he's talking about some of the things, but I really do enjoy his observations and the way that he breaks down certain things, including knocking himself on the way that he's done things. And it's like, okay, he's not just poking fun at or ridiculing other things and other people, but he also turns the mirror right back on himself and goes, oh yeah, I do this, I've done this. And I am enjoying the read, so thank you for the recommendation, Rebecca. To follow up on the Superman information. This is Superman 1082, Action Comics. Major Disaster was a member of the Justice League. Well, he was a member of the Injustice League, then was a member of the Justice League International's Antarctica version, and he's having a time. And this is a great story of what happens when Superman kind of loses hope, and he gets a little broken. And this is, a lot of people go, why, what, Superman's too overpowered, blah, blah, blah. This is one of those cases of writing that I love, because it's what happens when you give him a problem he can't punch. And this is that story, and it's going to be going on for a few issues, I think. And I also appreciate it because it's written by John Ridley, who, if you have not read any of the other DC Universe titles, literally the other DC Universe, which is a look at minority characters over the years in DC. I think there were 6 or 8 issues in that maximum sized format. Fantastic reads, and they give you great insights into characters whose backgrounds have kind of been overlooked over the years and how they relate to the larger DC Universe. Pick those up at your local comic shop. Storm number 4, Dinner Date with Dr. Doom.
Oh.
And I can't say dinner date, summons by Dr. Doom to dinner. And the writing on this, and this is Eva Ayadele, and her take on Storm is she is one of the biggest known names in the X universe. She's now an Avenger, and she's stepping up to be more of a presence for everyone, mutant, human, whatever. And her interactions with Doom, you can see, respects her at a level that he doesn't respect a lot of people. He questions some of the things that have happened around her, like the whole Krakoa thing. He's like, that was bound to fail. Her time with the X-Men is like, you could have done more with this. And she's like, and you're just making mutants and making them all of this. And he has a proposition for her that she does not answer by the end of the issue. So there's more to come with Storm versus Doom. G.I. Joe number 3, in the infighting. And yes, that is the Baroness right there with Duke and another character, Risk, who's trying to take over the Joe leadership of the Joe team. I like Baroness in the Joe team in this mix-up because it adds a level of friction for a number of people. Like, why the hell is she here?
Yeah, that's my question.
We need her. The thing is, it works. It actually does work, because a lot of them are just like, no. And Colonel Colton or General Colton's like, yeah, her. And here's why. And it does work. It's a little bit of a slow burn, but if you want a nice take on G.I. Joe that is not just the 82 cartoon where everything's bright and sunny if you're G.I. Joe, this is your read.
Okay.
Exceptional X-Men number 4 by Eve Ewing. This is not the Simone one, Lee. Sorry.
I don't care. It's all X-Men is Goodman.
Kitty Pryde's the end of her Krakoan run, where she was Murder Cat basically, has come out to her new students, and they're not really happy with this concept. And one of the students, Melee, has a young cousin who's having problems at school because she has expressed as a mutant. And it's a physical manifestation that she can't pass as human. And Melee tries to solve the problem in a not great way, and then has to deal with the consequences of that. And there's an interaction in here with Kitty and Emma that harkens back kind of to the Joss Whedon's Astonishing X-Men number 1 or 2, where Kitty, thank you, where Kitty and Emma realize not only do we have to work together, but I got to live in the same house as you. And Kitty's basically like, everything I ever needed to learn about evil, I learned when I was 13 from you.
Ooh.
And finally, the moon is following us. There's still more questions and intrigue about what is going on in Penny's mind and how her parents can or will they be able to save her. It's a great read by Daniel Warren Johnson. I can't say enough about the worlds building that Johnson has set up here, and the way that things that happen in this world affect things that happen in the world in the story. Good read. I'd be interested to hear other people's takes on it if you pick it up. And that's all I got.
All right. Thank you very much. Who's next? Tony?
Sure.
All right.
So finished season 4 of Superman and Lois, and I thought it ended in maybe kind of the best way they could have ended it. It's definitely like an Elseworlds version of Superman, and the way they finished everything off was really nice. And I had a great time with season 4 for the most part. They could have eased up a little bit on the heavy metal guitar chords whenever Lex was on screen, but other than that,
he's more of a guitar guy,
right?
What did you think?
Space Stallions.
What did you think of him as Lex? By the way,
it was definitely a different take on Lex than what I was used to. It wasn't really like anything we've seen from the live action Lexes up to
his
this
power
point.
suit wasn't.
So
green
Tony,
and purple
which Lex is your Lex?
Well, okay, so for sure, when I think of Lex Luthor, I think of Clancy Brown.
Cryer.
Clancy Brown, Lex Luthor from the Adventures of the animated series, Superman the Animated Series, or whatever it's called.
Mr. Krabs?
Yeah, Mr. Krabs, exactly. Both businessmen, both evil. I would say for live action, probably. I would say I liked Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor. I thought it was interesting. I enjoyed it. I know.
Can't be friends anymore.
I know. I'll
He's
take
a good Lex Luthor.
He was a
No,
good
he's
Lex
not.
We'll
No, he's not.
Also,
Well,
hate.
you know what? I'm
don't-
sorry. I'm going to do what Jake did last week. We'll take this to the after party.
Also,
don't
hate to
care
say
about-
it, but Kevin Spacey was a good Lex Luthor.
hate to say
Kevin
it.
Spacey
He
was
was.
a good
But
take on Gene Hackman's Lex Luthor.
I was gonna say it was
Yeah, okay.
basically Gene
Yeah.
Hackman's Lex Luthor. So
Yeah.
anyway, we could talk about this.
We'll talk about this in the after party.
Sir. So yeah, I really enjoyed Superman and Lois. I think it was probably from start to finish the best of the Arrowverse series, and it probably because it was only 4 seasons. A couple of those just went too long. And they
Yeah,
ran
because
out
if
of
Flash had
good
if
story.
Flash had quit after season 14, I think it would have been fine.
Exactly. So yeah, I recommend that. I thought it was really good. I also finished What We Do in the Shadows, the last season of that. Also, just what a great ending. And if you watch it on Hulu, you can watch the separate, different hypnosis endings that Nadia does, and that was good stuff. We'll get to this in a sec. Started a new book because I finally finished Wheel of Time 6 after a million years, and
And he was
This
reading
is-
it at twice speed.
that's what it felt like. I should have read it at 4 times speed, so it moves at the same rate of a regular novel. Anyway, started a book called Upgrade. Speaking of the Upgrade movie, not related though, but it's by the guy that did
Blake Crouch, our friend.
Blake Crouch.
Oh.
And I'm about, 2.5 hours into it. Is about 11-hour listen, and it's really cool so far. It's about genetic engineering and changing the human genome, whether on purpose or on accident, kind of a thing. Really, really interesting, just sci-fi stuff that I.
Here's a question. Does it recommend or dissuade you from jumping in front of a gamma bomb or getting bitten by a spider?
Well, the fact of the matter is, nothing would ever dissuade me from those things.
No, he's right there.
I've already.
He's asking me to launch the device. Is what he's doing.
I've asked you many times.
Just
and you
say the word.
Yeah. Tony's like, Lee, drop it.
Give me that gamma, baby.
I'm ready.
Oh, yeah. And then I watched 2 very different movies. One of them was really funny and stupid and couldn't be made any longer for some of the jokes that it did. And the other one was super heartfelt and basically
Also
the exact
couldn't be made
opposite.
today.
It was made. It was made recently though.
Was one of them a Mel Brooks movie?
No, but
Oh.
some of the jokes right up there with Mel Brooks stuff, I think. The funny one was Movie 43. I'd never seen that before.
Are you? Who chooses to watch movie 43 in the year
did.
2025?
I did.
Okay.
And there are some of those skits
Crazy.
that are freaking funny, really funny. And also,
I have to ask because I don't think I've ever heard of movie 43.
Okay, so
It's one of those movies that was made in like the 2010s,
yeah, 2013.
where like it's just all of like,
It's just a reason to string jokes together.
do you know, just a raunchy dudes getting
Yep.
together and we want to make a raunchy movie.
Yep.
And like you
They were-
literally could not
Okay.
make it today.
No, you couldn't.
Okay.
And but some of the jokes it did just had me rolling, and also some of the jokes they did just had me going, oh no, you can't do that. That's bad.
But it's like, it's an anthology, like it's a collection of
Yes.
shorts essentially.
And they did have a funny way of stringing together why the shorts existed. I thought there's like an overarching story going along in the background that I thought was kind of clever, but also really stupid at the same time, which is my kind of humor.
I believe James Gunn did one, didn't he?
James Gunn did one, and it wasn't actually my favorite one. I thought that one was kind of. It's very gross though, so it's up to that. It's 2013 James Gunn.
Yeah.
And then the show that I watched that was so heartfelt and earnest, and also, I mean, not also because movie 43 isn't good, but actually good. A Real Pain. Jesse Eisenberg's
Yeah.
first writer-director, I don't know if it's writer, but first for sure director debut.
Kieran Culkin has run away with that supporting acting Oscar.
Holy, he was crazy good in this movie.
Oh, he's
And
been great since the first Home Alone.
Wrong Culkin. But
No, Kieran Culkin's the little cousin that always.
He's
wets
the little one with the glasses.
Oh.
Yeah,
He's Fuller?
the one that. Yeah, he's the one that nobody wants to sleep around because he always wets the
Because he
bed.
wets the bed because he's full of Pepsi.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, that movie though, it's gonna play on your emotions for sure, because of the story it's telling and the acting and everything, and you're gonna want to cry a little bit. You're gonna have some fun laughing. The dynamic between the two main characters, Jesse Eisenberg, played by Jesse Eisenberg, and Kieran Culkin, is just fantastic. Highly, highly recommend A Real Pain.
All right. Thank you. Lee.
Oh, sorry. Boy, I watched because the new season of Severance started last night, but I needed to go back in time 3 years and watch the first season again. It is the most sinister show on television. I know it's supposed to be a comedy. It's not. If you've ever worked in a call center for a Fortune 500 company, you know exactly what they're commenting on. Such a good show.
Yes.
Very, very sinister, though. The last episode of Skeleton Crew aired this week, and I'm only sad about one thing. I found out that there was a scene shot showing a flashback to something that Jod talks about in his past, and they cut it for time. I hope it shows up.
I'm glad they cut it though.
I know you hate Jedi.
No, I'm glad. I'm glad
they cut it too.
I'm glad they focused on the present, and they only alluded to stuff in the past.
Yeah, for the economy of storytelling, I'm glad they cut it. I hope that in the grand tradition of good cut scenes, I hope it shows up on the Blu-ray when that's released.
Somewhere,
because I'd like to see it, just because I collect that stuff. I like to collect those images of Jedi being killed during Order 66 or during the Jedi Purge. So Skeleton Crew, great. I'm glad that I listened to you guys and came back and gave it a second chance. So the licensing rights for Macross as a franchise has finally cleared up in the United States. So all of the Macross series not related directly to Robotech have been released on Hulu.
Oh.
And so I was able to go back and watch Macross Plus, which I never saw the OVA for. I only saw the movie. It is phenomenal. It is Shinichiro Watanabe. I can never say his name correctly, the director and one of the creators of Cowboy Bebop. This was one of his earliest projects. And music by Yoko Kanno, also from Cowboy Bebop. So it's like, you want to see the genesis of one of the greatest animes of all time, it's Macross Plus. Also watched Macross 7, which is from the mid-90s. So there's a lot of really cool, weird J-pop, plus a pacifist who only flies his mech around so he can play guitar at the enemy.
All right.
If you can see me sticking my thumbs up instead of shaking my fist at Rob, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And then the last thing that I ended up watching, and this was on in my living room, and I found myself watching this for about maybe an hour the other day. I couldn't stop. I couldn't take my eyes off it.
Cute.
Oh my goodness.
Oh,
Yeah,
Cute.
yeah. I would watch that for
yeah.
days.
I told everybody to shut up and watch. So anyway, that's my little Harvey dog being cute. But enough of that.
All right. Let's see. Skeleton Crew, I watched. Just a delightful end. I thought it was just great. Some good Star Wars. And if you're bitching about it, I don't know what's wrong with you.
Oh,
That's the thing is, I've not seen a single bitch about it.
no,
Interesting.
I think we might be like reading about Jake Lloyd's mom talking about how fans actually reached out when they found out about his schizophrenia diagnosis, and the fans are actually helping Jake Lloyd right now. And maybe we've evolved to a point where we're not going to be shitty to kids in Star Wars because we've seen what happens. Maybe there's still assholes
Or
out there.
we're saving it all. We're saving it all for that Star Trek Section 31.
Or because those two B-wings showed what B-wings could and why they're the best ship. No, never mind.
B-wing sounds like an insult.
What did they even
Quiet,
do?
you B-wing.
What did they even do? They just swooped around. They didn't do anything.
Protonic ion cannons, you
You
pedestrian.
B-wing. You B-wing.
You pedestrian.
I'm such a Star Wars pedestrian.
Let's see. The new season of Harley Quinn started.
Yeah.
Max.
Oh, I watched that too. Great start.
And that's a good start. They moved to Metropolis because Gotham smells like piss, apparently. So,
Oh man, I'm
Plus
excited
they're-
for this.
And their major highway is a mess because they let her design it.
exactly. Let's see. I started this Saturday Night Live docuseries on Peacock.
Oh, how is it?
It's interesting, and it's interesting because of the subjects they decide to delve into. Now, the first episode was fascinating. It was people trying out for Saturday Night Live, so you get to see their tryouts, which was fascinating, and how they each approached it. And like Amy Poehler, whom I'm just madly in love with, of course, she was saying, these people knew me for my characters already. So I was told by somebody, I don't recall who, to go in and just be myself. And so she went in and just did this little monologue essentially as herself. And I'm like, why did you do that, Amy? Your characters are what you are.
I mean, it must have worked.
It's like,
it worked. Well, apparently she was hired before the tryout. The tryout was just a formality. But it's
Did
just,
they touch on how many times they sent scouts out to LA to recruit Melissa McCarthy, but she was missing each and every time?
They didn't touch on that. They talk about sending scouts out and how they find people. But
Yeah, they sent people out, and they got Kristen Wiig. They got every time they went out to get Melissa McCarthy, they came back with someone amazing. But it'd be like the one day she didn't show up that year was when the scout was at her comedy show.
But it's fascinating to watch because they show the demo reel to the people, and they're like, I've not seen this. I've never seen this before. Do I want to see this? Yeah.
Oh, crazy.
And they showed Chevy Chase, and they're like, "Yeah, we should have known he was an asshole."
Here's the thing: they didn't get into the classic characters too much. They
think
started
that-
around the '90s and kind of went forward.
I think that's smart. Because a lot of the people I think
Agreed.
currently who are going to go back and watch like as an SNL retrospective, right? We're like millennials and like younger Gen X, right? And we care more about the 90s and early 2000s stuff more than the
so.
70s and 80s.
Well, we'll just go back to our elderly rest home with our walkers. Then we're back.
Let's
there.
get you to bed, Grandpa.
do you need me to replace the tennis ball on your walker, Grandpa?
Hey, I still have my walker's still out in the garage, you asshole.
The second episode for us SNL nerds is strictly about the writers. And the entire process of how that's broken down through the week and how that all happens.
And Mulaney's like, cocaine.
And how a lot of SNL writers go on to be directors and production designers because that's all part of what they had to do. They had to work with the props department to have a proper look for a certain thing, and then all the work that you do, and the sketch gets cut. It was just fascinating. And
Didn't
then
Hader start out in the writer's room?
yes, he did. And then the third episode was the weird year, as they call it.
Oh, the Forgotten Year?
Year.
Yeah.
What's the weird year?
The weird
It's like-
year? That's where Julia Louis-Dreyfus was there. And
Yeah, and
Robert Downey Jr.
I was going to say, is it the year that Robert Downey
Michael-
Jr. was there?
Yeah, and like the weird kid from Breakfast Club, and
Yeah, him.
Oh, because
Yeah.
that's
Anthony
the year.
Michael Hall.
Oh,
Yeah.
what was the shakeup behind the scenes? Is
Well,
that the year that
that was-
Lorne wasn't there?
That was the year that Lorne came back.
But it was like
Yeah.
it was the first year with John Lovitz. It was the last year with Jim Belushi. It was just kind of
Randy
it was
Quaid was there.
yeah, it was a freaking train wreck. But
Yeah, because I
there's
remember
some gold in there.
Lorne left, and then you say this is the year that he came back, and so they're
This
like
is the
just
year he
trying to
came
get
back.
their footing.
And he decided that he wanted some stars there, so that's why he got the Randy Quaids and all these people that you've seen before.
Yeah.
But just seeing Julie Louis-Dreyfus, back in those sketches, because I
Back in her Troll 3 days.
yeah, it's funny because God, she's just so gorgeous. But it's funny because I stopped watching SNL when Lorne left, and I just wouldn't support it. I just wasn't there for it, and I didn't come back until the show started to get traction again, and so I missed this weird year. I missed Julie Louis-Dreyfus. Anyway,
I left around 83 and came back with Wayne's World, like 87, 88.
Party time.
but it's fascinating watch on Peacock. I haven't gotten to episode 4 yet, but there's only wait, there's an entire episode based on the cowbell sketch.
Nice.
They do an hour on the cowbell sketch.
Wow.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Fascinating. Anyway, and then I went back and watched Christopher Reeve's Superman 1 and 2.
Donner cut?
Not the Donner cut, just the ones that were on Max. I don't have access to the Donner cut.
I will
should have.
bring you the Donner cut.
Please, that's what I need. But it was interesting to see. Interesting to see with time how they've aged and how everyone was smoking
Everywhere.
everywhere. It was
Oh my
fascinating.
God, we didn't pour one out for David Lynch.
I was just about to.
Well, and to think that without Mel Brooks, we wouldn't have had him.
Oh, really?
Is that right?
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, Mel Brooks, Mel Brooks was one of the executive producers on a little-known 1980 movie called The Elephant Man that was an Academy
Really?
Award darling. And Mel Brooks said, when they said, who should we get to direct this? No one wants to direct this movie. It sounds like a low-budget nightmare. And he said, well, I saw this weird little movie called Eraserhead, and I want to hire that kid. And so that was the thing. David Lynch took 2, maybe 3 years to make Eraserhead, and it was a weird-ass movie, and it made him kind of a Hollywood pariah. Plus, he was notorious for being a stickler for low budgets, and he wouldn't do a thing if he didn't want to do a thing. This is a man who famously left Return of the Jedi as director because they wouldn't let him be weird with Ewoks. And so
Just want to get weird.
Well, to
They
hear him,
hired him-
to hear him tell the story. It didn't even get off the ground. He went and had
Yeah.
lunch. He went and had lunch with George Lucas, and Lucas started talking about Ewoks and Wookiees, and that's when David went,
right. And Lynch is like they hired him on to do Elephant Man, and from that he was able to do everything. This is the man who discovered Kyle MacLachlan. This is the guy who very famously directed Dune, hired Patrick Stewart based off of seeing him in a stage play because he thought he was weird looking, and then he gets this
And then
bald,
he was
handsome
disappointed when he
Yeah,
didn't
he's like,
get the same guy.
Where's the freaky guy I hired? But he's also a champion of LGBTQ rights. This is a man who wrote in a character for David Duchovny in Twin Peaks, who was a trans character, and who very famously just said, well, that's who you are. And this is in the 90s. And it wasn't a joke. It wasn't a joke.
David Lynch, a fan of Family Guy so much that he asked Seth MacFarlane to write him in a scene. And it's hilarious. It's how David Lynch saved Christmas.
All right.
And David Lynch comes down the chimney and has a package for this little kid there, and he goes, "I got you something. Here, it's a thumb. Don't look away. Let the fear wash over you. Did you leave a cup of coffee out for me? No, I didn't. In the future, leave out a cup of coffee for me. Also in the past." You know?
He did a scene. He did a scene in the Twin Peaks movie where David Bowie plays this CIA agent or FBI agent who's out of step with time.
Yeah.
So it just flows into a weird scene with Dale Cooper doing the same exact thing that Bowie's doing. He was a frustrating as hell director at times, but he was always a visionary, and he was always very brave and always very weird, and one hell of a musician.
Yeah, and I remember back in the day, my girlfriend and I would look forward to Friday night so we could watch Twin Peaks.
Twin Peaks. We had amazing parties around that time at that notorious house. The last thing I'd like to say is the only reason why there's even a Bob's Big Boy left in Burbank is because David Lynch and some friends pitched in money to make sure that it never went out of business.
That's right.
So
And they put memorabilia around the Big Boy out front, and then they all had milkshakes and raised.
And they should.
Raise a milkshake.
I used to kiss that Big Boy goodbye every time my mom took me there when I was a little boy, because Big Boy was my hero and who I wanted to be when I grew up, but no one would give me checkerboard white and red overalls.
Lee, you are a big boy.
We'll get you
I am
You're
now.
a big boy.
Yeah.
So now we know what to get you for Christmas.
some overalls. Yeah.
Overalls.
A
Big
belly
boy
button?
restaurant.
Any games, Tony? I don't
Only
imagine there is.
one that I can see worth mentioning. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is coming out on PC this week on the 23rd. So it's been out on PS5 for a while now. But now you can
But
play
there
it
was
on
some
the
news
PC.
this week.
That Switch 2.
There was all kinds of news this week. Well, just kidding. There was the announcement of the Switch 2, which had almost no details for you at all. It was
but
just
it-
a video of what it
Didn't
looked like.
Nintendo have to put it out because of like the leaks, and they had
The
to be like,
rumors it got to the point where it's like everyone knows this is coming anyway.
but it
and
looks-
what it's gonna have.
But it looks like you can use the Joy-Con as a mouse, which means you can play the Civ games.
Maybe.
Shut up, Tony. Let me dream.
It looks that way, yes, but are they going to put the Civ games on the Switch? I don't know.
Yeah. They'll do it for me.
I'm excited for it, though. I mean, as you can see, my little thing on under my name today has said, "Give me that Switch 2." So that looks pretty cool, just in general. The big things to take away from that: backwards compatible with the majority of your Switch games. The things that don't work are probably because it's a little bit bigger, and if there's peripherals that are supposed to fit on the old one, it might not fit on the new one. But the vast majority of games should be backwards compatible. It's got 2 USB-C ports, one on the bottom and one on the top, so you should be able to charge it and put like a earphone jack or something, or like a USB-C wireless earbud device on it at the same time, which is cool. And then the other big thing was the mouse, the sensors on the Joy-Cons. So that looks pretty neat. We're not going to find out more concrete stuff though until later. April 2nd is when they have the.
Glad they didn't go on April 1st.
Yeah, I know that would have been a really poor
my God.
choice. But it's Nintendo. I could see them doing it just because they want to. We really like April 1st, so we're just going to do it then anyway.
All right.
One last thing though, I got to make a recommendation real quick.
Quickly.
If you haven't seen Mile High Burger Challenge from SNL last week, you
was so
got
good.
it. You
Oh
got
my
to check
God.
it out. Sarah Sherman commits to the bit so hard that it's amazing.
It's also disgusting.
It's disgusting. Your SNL thing reminded me of this, so I had to put a plug for that.
All right, we're going to head to the after party right now. If you're a Patreon member, you can join us. If not, geekshowgotthiscovered.com is the link to our Patreon. Live long and prosper, bitches.